Can you hear me okay?
Yep. You seem locked in.
Yeah, I think I've picked the questions I'm going to ask. And yeah, they tie together, so we should be good. You ready to start the show?
Whenever you are.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. At some point, J. Flan is going to figure out what the title of his own podcast is. But until that day, I am Tara Michelle, and we're about to have another fantastic conversation for you guys.
I'm just along for the ride. You know what it is.
First question. And of course, we don't have to answer all of them because there's a plethora of things. But to you, what is something you should definitely discuss with a person that you're dating before you agree to enter into a relationship exclusively?
Yeah, what's the end result? What's the ultimate end result? Some people just want to be in a long relationship. Some people want the relationship to go somewhere. It needs to be marriage, or we need to be. Maybe you want to have kids. But what's the end goal? What's the end game look like for you?
Mm, okay.
I need to pick something else. Or
No, I mean, we can go back and forth, maybe do 3 or 4 each. I would say that's fantastic. Um, I like the question about specifically if you guys are raising kids together, whether it's a blended family or you're going to have kids together. I like to discuss how you raise your children, from discipline to the way that you guide. Is religion a part? Like, I like to have really serious questions regarding the kids because my kids are such a very important part of my life, as any parent, should. But I definitely want to talk about all things regarding kids. Do you have them? Do you want them? Specifically for me, because at 43, I'm not having any more. I don't want any more kids. I have 4. So if I were to ever find myself back in the dating pool, which is not going to happen, but if I did, that's definitely where I'm leading with. Because if you are sitting out here, because dudes have a lot more time than we do. So if he's sitting around 43, 44, 45, like, yeah, I really want to start a family. Well, you have a nice evening, and I hope you find what you're looking for. What else?
yeah, I'm trying to think other important conversations there are to have. I don't know. I am such a go with the flow kind of person that I have and I think I've said this on my podcast, the What is TWS podcast, episodes dropping every Monday. But I think I've said this on my show. Like at this point in my life, if I can look across the table at a person and be like, "It's me and you," and when they say it's me and you, and I understand that that's like a definite, you know, then I'm good. Everything else I can work with. We can work
Oh
around.
no, that's dangerous.
Um,
No, and I definitely no. I want to talk about sex, specifically, you know, um, the things you like versus the things that maybe you don't. I think that's important simply because you got this new breed of woman out here that wants to peg her dude. I think you should be having those types of conversations before you just initially try when he's not paying attention or when he's asleep and end up, getting yourself maybe potentially unalived. So I do think talking about intimacy and that level of importance to you, if you're a woman who is of a particular age and maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause and it doesn't matter that much to you anymore, you need to disclose that type of stuff. Or if you're the type of dude who knows that you want it 7 days a week, in the morning and at night, you should tell a woman that so she can know mentally and prepare herself physically for something like that if it's not what she's used to. If you're the type of person who likes a lot of oral, find out if she's into that at all, if she's willing to. There's so much to talk about when it comes to that. So I do think that you should be having those types of conversations because, contrary to popular belief, sex and intimacy, not the same thing, but sex and intimacy, two different things, are very important in relationships. And I think a lot of times are deal breakers for people. So you have to be very careful with that. Um,
I agree that should be a topic of conversation. I do want to just like caution women that there is such thing as too much information. You don't need to go into everything with a dude.
yeah,
For a lot
my
of
body
men,
counts
for a
again.
lot of men, Unless you ask, I don't think that's pertinent information. You know, for a lot of men, like we have a fantasy of you sexually in our heads. And it could be a variety of things that may or may not be true. Some of them we don't necessarily believe to be true, but until we know for certain something else, we can live in that world. Maybe we just think we the best she ever had. And we never gonna ask that question. And unless she starts talking to us about the best nigga she ever been with, then we get to live in that space. But I think sometimes, when you try in this sexual revolution and you're trying to be open about these things, you can be too open and you can give away information that he didn't want or need. That's not useful. Not useful to that person. But for me, when it comes to information, I'm always what use do I have for this? And if I don't have a use for it, I typically don't need it. But you can put some things in a guy's head by just being a little too open, that you didn't mean to put there. Like you think you're just sharing stories. He ain't need to know about that time you had the threesome or
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree, but no, I'm just talking specifically about the things that are gonna matter. Like a person with a very low libido, you need to disclose that. Or if you have a very high one, you need to disclose that. What is your idea of intimacy? What's important to you? We need to know those things because look, I'm not one for wasting time. I don't want to waste your time. I'm that girl that will go on the first date and ask all these questions, talk about all these subjects. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk about what we like to do for fun, the things that we absolutely hate, favorite movies and music and songs and, just all these things because I want to know as much about you as I can because I do not want to waste my time or yours. If we get to talking about the heavy things, oh, like family, like I come from a really, 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 really terrible family background. And so I understand how somebody could not have a relationship with a mother or a father or both or something like that. But I still sometimes hold out hope for, especially when I was dating, wanting to meet a guy who had a huge family because I just want that. I just like the idea of going to family reunions and having all of that because I never had it. So that was just something I used to talk about. It wasn't a deal breaker, but it was definitely something I used to bring up. Also, the type of relationship a man has with his mother can tell you a lot of things too. But sometimes people have terrible moms, so you can't always use that either. But again, do you have a temper? Have you ever been to prison? If so, why? What do you do for a living? What's your 5-year plan? All of it. I want to know it all because if we get to talking and you're like, um, I don't, believe in God. Whoop. Now that's a deal breaker for me. Keep it 100. And that was actually my next question. When we're talking about having these discussions before entering into a relationship, what are, not necessarily the deal breakers, because we talk a lot about from a negative context about things a lot. What are the non-negotiables for you? When you what are your relationship necessities? So if you're going to agree to be with a woman, what are the things that have to exist in that relationship for you to say, okay, yeah, I can do this with her?
first and foremost, honesty and trust. I have to be able to trust you, um, and I have to be able to feel safe with you. Um, I'm a big like I'm not intimate. My body count is fairly low, and it's because I'm not just intimate with anybody. I don't share myself with just anybody. I have to trust you in order to be able to get to that point. So if we're ever going to get to the point where we're talking about sex or any of these things, like it has to be a certain level of trust that's already been established. And honesty to me plays, a big part in that. If you'll lie to me about the small things, I know you'll hide the big things from me. So that means the world to me. And exclusivity is just the thing. If you're not comfortable with it's just me and you, and there is no space for any movement in any direction at any point where you feel like you need some wiggle room in that, you just let me know so we can end this. Because I never learned to share. I'm not that type, you know. So I need to be able to trust you, and I need to know that I belong to you and you belong to me.
Hmm. Non-negotiables. Okay. Um, I'm curious, just Can you explain to me what you mean by you need to feel safe with her?
Um, like I think one of the dopest conversations I had in my current relationship um, was we would get on the phone and we would just talk and we'd be sharing, we get to know each other. So she'd tell a story about her childhood and that made me think about something that happened to me as a kid. I'd tell a story and we go back and forth. And I remember one night, just talking about some things that happened to me in like elementary school and just going through the whole thing. And, of course that led to one memory leads to another, which leads to another. And at the end of what I was saying, uh, never saying it with any point in mind, but at the end of what I was saying, like she just stopped me and she's like, wow, like it seems like you've been alone your whole life. And it's like that just struck me because that's what that story was saying. And I've probably told these stories to any number of people and they never heard that. And in that moment, for me, I felt seen and understood. And um and when you know somebody, and when somebody can hear those things about you, hear that maybe you felt alone your whole life, and they're not judging you on what kind of man is always thinking about his kindergarten teacher, what she said to him, or what kind of man, you sounded like you was a punk in junior high school or something
Oh
like,
my
when
God.
you can say those kind of things and not deal with that kind of, reaction, and you actually get a reaction where the person shows that they care so much about you that hearing you hurt them, like that introduces, you know, a space where I know I can take off the mask. Because so much of being a man in today's society is going outside and putting on this mask. I can't look soft in front of you. I can't look soft in front of you. I gotta keep up this bravado. I gotta keep up this image. I gotta keep this up all the time. And knowing I can come home, and not all the time, because nobody wants to deal with somebody who's always like, you know, beat down by the world. But every once in a while, I can take off the mask and I can say I'm scared, or I can say I'm worried, or I can say I'm hurt, and that person cares and wants to be a part of healing whatever that is, not judgmental.
That's beautiful. I love that. That is absolutely beautiful. I agree with you about the necessities. I definitely need exclusivity. I cannot do cheating. Anybody who's ever seen me or heard me on any podcast knows that is an ultimate deal breaker for me. So, yeah, feeling safe for me, feeling protected, in the sense that, and this is for me, I'm you. Because I'm a woman who loves guns and I carry my weapon with me almost everywhere and I love knives and I grew up fighting, I don't necessarily think physical protection when I'm talking about my man protecting me. I also am a woman who does not live a lifestyle where I should be involved in any rah rah or craziness. So I'm thinking more or less, if I'm bugging out, if I'm tripping, if I'm having a meltdown, that he's there to walk me back to that line of sanity. The protection could be him protecting me from myself. I think I'm talking more spiritually and emotionally and mentally, um, protecting me from those things. Like, you know what? In my current relationship, I do lots of different podcasts. And when I'm on panels that are just toxic sometimes, or things take a toll on me, he notices. I've never had a man pay so much attention to my mental and emotional states. And it's crazy to me because his first inclination is always to protect me, baby. I don't think that group is good for you. I don't think, you need to do this anymore. I don't think that you should involve yourself in these spaces. Like he is, and not in a nagging way or in a dictator way, I am watching how heavy this weighs on you. Or when I'm just, so much is going on in my life and I'm just like, I hate everybody. I hate everything. I'm mad, mad, mad. He's like, tell me something good or tell me something that you're grateful for. Started doing these I'm grateful for lists every day where he sends me 5 things he's grateful for and I need to do that back to reel me in from the slipping into a depression or being angry all day about everything that I could possibly be angry about while forgetting to be grateful about all the blessings that I have. So for me, that's what protection is. Caring about me in every single way. That is amazing to me. And also too, to be honest, he spoiled me in a way to where I think that chivalry is a non-negotiable for me too. I like having doors open for me. Even though I'm almost forgetting every time I go somewhere and he's like, I you know what I'm saying? Don't touch that door, and also walking on the outside of the street thing. Like I saw a meme or whatever it was earlier today where a dude did that and it just warmed my heart. And I saw the comments and people were like, I don't understand why he just do that. Or I don't understand, like, what is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to do? It just makes me sad for this world and for my children. I'll be honest. But the question was like, does this really even matter? And I thought to myself, and I said in the group or on in the comments, I said, yeah, it matters. At first, I didn't think it did, but once I got with a man who actually started doing it, it does because it made me feel loved, cared for, and protected on a deeper level, in a deeper way. You just when you go through life and don't have these things, you don't miss what you don't have. But once you have it, you realize how special it is and that you don't want to go back to not having it. At least I do. So I think those are probably the non-negotiables for me. Oh, and the sex has to be great. I'm sorry. I've had bad sex before. I've been in relationships where I was not happy in that arena at all. And I can't do it. I don't want to hear about an 80-20 rule. I don't want to hear none of that because sex is a very important part of a relationship between adults. And while it should not be the only reason you're with somebody, like you can't be just, well, this is good and everything else is terrible. You also can't have everything else be good and that be terrible. You just got to have them both. And nothing's perfect, but I'd rather have, a good relationship, average B, with good sex than to have an A+ relationship with an F and say, I'm not doing that. Just not settling.
I got you. I got you. I got you. I don't know. I think I come from, and and maybe this is because of my feelings on intimacy and how I normally build things, but it hasn't been a lot of different, people in my life in that arena. But I can't ever say I really had like, and that could just be because I'm a dude and it's a different experience with us. But I can't ever say I've ever had like bad
Oh yeah,
sex.
I had terrible sex.
Um,
I mean, you're right. And for us, we're the ones being invaded. So if you have no rhythm, don't know what you're doing, you trying to hit every, thing that nobody asked you to hit. There's no foreplay. You can't kiss, you can't perform oral correctly. Like there's so many ways for dudes to be trash at it. And I'm sure, women too. But I can only, I don't sleep with women, so I can only speak to men. But to not be passionate, to be robotic, or to think that I'm supposed to be your personal porn star, like 24/7. Like if that's where you learned it from, I understand the disconnect because I don't play those types of games. But yeah, there's a lot of ways dudes can be trash at sex.
I wouldn't know. But anyway,
Talk this stuff. That's what's up.
a deal breaker definitely for me is gotta respect my sobriety. And you would be it's interesting how many people like that's not serious to them. Where they're like,
Mhm.
oh, you just don't drink. And then, a few weeks in, they're like, "Oh, you can't have one beer. It's like you must not have understood what I said, you know.
I actually was gonna ask about relationship deal breakers, even though I said I wanted to stay away from the negative point of view. I mean, we do have some though. I already mentioned cheating.
What were we saying? We weren't saying deal breakers, but we were saying non-negotiable. Not
Yeah.
non-negotiable. That's non-negotiable.
Okay. Well, what are some deal breakers though? Let's just go ahead and have it. I said cheating for me. You said respecting your sobriety. Anything else? Oh, you can't physically, you cannot beat up on me. No abuse. Physically, emotionally, mentally, I don't do that. Yeah, I won't say verbally only because some people think that verbal abuse is something different than what I take it as. Like I'm not for to be like calling you all kind of motherfuckers and sons of bitches and all the other crazy stuff. But if you make me mad, I might be like, "Would you shut the fuck up?" I shouldn't. I'm working. I'm a work in progress. Again, I am, part Irish, and I'm from St. Louis. I know those are not excuses, but I'm just saying it is what it is. But I don't play about physical abuse.
Yeah, cheating definitely. I mean, yeah, I hopefully wouldn't end up with a woman that was physically abusing me, but it's not funny. It's not funny because dudes get abused too. It's not funny. Whatever. That was. I
No, it's
apologize.
not. No, it is
Uh,
not funny. But I just was like, man, I couldn't see a girl swinging on you. That would be awful.
well, what else we got?
Well, let's stick with that one because it's such a big one. That leads into another question that I have. I have heard so long, that when men cheat, it is purely physical. They do it because the girl had a fat booty, or, she just was bad overall and she was offering it and they wasn't about to pass it up. But when we talk about women cheating, a lot of the time, well, at some point used to be this way, because you got girls out here who take joy in having a higher body count than men, who think that they can move like men, who think it's okay to be ran through. And girls will literally be like, well, if a dude can have a body count of 300, so can a woman. Like, I don't speak the language of this loose madness out here. I am, people talking about they had their whole summer or whole phase, or baby, no. No. But to speak for women who think like me, where I still think a woman's body is sacred, I think you should be very careful about who you sleep with, and you should be choosy, and you should try, if at all, to keep your body count very low. Again, just my point of view, not judging anybody else who does what they want to do with their bodies, but I'm trying to explain my point of view so that it will make sense to whoever is listening. Um, we tend to cheat emotionally first, and then it could end up leading into something physical. So then it becomes a problem because we're wanting to talk to this person all the time. We're thinking about this person all the time. We want to see them. It usually is happening more than just once. It's not a one and done. And we fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Or begin to love this person and want to care for this person. And that's just something totally different than smash and, never see again. So, have you ever been cheated on?
Yeah, I've been cheated on a couple
Okay.
times.
And that's not funny. What did that do to you? What did that do to you mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a knock to the ego. I think the immediate reaction is, not being enough in whatever arena it is, and I don't know. I think in the past for me, I've responded competitively. I've done what a lot of women do, and like you're not taking my girl. So I all of a sudden was in competition with somebody that I didn't even know, but just because I didn't want to lose, and then end up winning the prize and then not wanting it. Like the goal was at that point just not to lose. Now that I got it, I don't even want to be here no more. But I think that's what it normally. I think men are just, I think we are so similar. We say the same thing sometimes and just don't hear it. But I think the initial feeling is just not being enough.
So, you stayed after being cheated on.
I did. I did.
And so, from a standpoint of, I guess, I don't know if that was the mental or the emotional answer for you. Which part of you do you think was reacting in a way that you wanted to be competitive?
That's emotional.
Okay, so
Like,
mentally, what did it do for you or do to you?
yeah, like I said, huge blow to the ego. That's where the seeds of insecurity start being sown, and it puts you in a place where you don't trust anything. You don't trust your place in that person's life anymore. And here there was somebody that you thought you had earned this place, where it's not your family that's supposed to love you, or it's not whatever. This is a person that you went out, found, and then earned your way into a place of value. And then now you have to question that value. Um, it can be a huge blow to your self esteem, all of that. Like I said, I don't think a lot of dudes would honestly answer it this way, but it's my show. I do what I want.
I feel it, and I love the honesty because a lot of times we think that, again, men are supposed to be so hard and they're supposed to be emotionless. But if we're going to talk real, well, let me ask you this question. I think based on what I just said, we all know what my answer is. But who do you think is harder for in terms of forgiveness? Do you think it's easier for a man to forgive a woman who's cheated on him, or for a woman to forgive a man who's cheated on her?
Nah, I think the male ego is the more fragile of the two. And I think it's definitely more difficult for a man to forgive a woman.
Absolutely. They can't handle it at all. And I think it's because I don't know how to say that if a man cheats on a woman, just don't firmly truly believe that he's, well, first of all, I don't think he's in love with her, because I find it
Mm,
hard pressed to understand the how you could be capable of cheating on somebody that you're in love with. But I even question the love part, period, because I think that loving someone and being in love is two different things. But when you are that selfish, when you are that depraved, when you will go out here and literally have relations with someone else that and you're in a relationship, I don't know that you're capable of loving anyone, including yourself. Because when you make moves in a relationship, and this is just my opinion, you're supposed to keep the mind and the heart of the person that you're with at the forefront of the things that you do. When you're making a decision, you should be like, is this going to hurt my baby? Like, if she was standing right here, if you can't do it in front of her, you shouldn't be doing it. That's the thing. And the same way, if you can't do it in front of him, you shouldn't be doing it. If it's something that you would be terrified for them to find out or for them to see, then you know you did wrong. And I think
yeah,
that for me, when it comes to what cheating does mentally and emotionally, mentally, it puts me in my head. I am questioning all day, what could I have done differently? What did I do wrong? You know, what decisions did I make that led to this place? And emotionally, it's, again, I feel that too. Like, why wasn't I good enough? And what does she have better than me? And or what's wrong with me? And this insecurity that where when if it takes him 15 minutes to get home from work and he don't get home for 30 minutes, he was with somebody for 15 minutes. They stopped in the bathroom or in his car, or you can never tell me again, unless I was with him 24/7, that he wasn't cheating. Like, the level of insecurity that would give me, and I never want to be that girl. If I can't trust you, I cannot be with you. And if you would risk my life and my health, you would risk our relationship because this girl could accidentally get pregnant or anything, risking our finances. Um, I don't know how to come back from that. And I don't feel like I should have to. I don't feel like I should have to go through all of that rigmarole to heal myself only to give yo ugly ass another chance. You don't deserve it from me. You hurt me. You betrayed me. And even if you have changed because you saw what that did to me, go be a better man for the next female. I don't want you. I think
yeah.
emotionally and mentally, that is something that would crush me, destroy me, cause me to have lots of therapy, to just get me back right. And you don't deserve the better, stronger, more capable version that I become. I don't want you.
I got you. I got you.
Okay, so the next question: could you be with someone you don't trust? And before you answer that, how do you give trust? Are you the type of person who starts off trusting everybody and then they have to, do something to make you remove it? Or do you make people earn your trust by just getting to know them, spending time with them, seeing how they move?
No, yeah, and I tell most people this when I meet them. I trust you until you give me a reason not to. But once, once you do that, and I'm highly observant, I also tell people that most of the time, when you get away with a lie, or you think you've gotten away with a lie, it's not because you told the perfect, most beautifully crafted lie of all time, and there was no way to figure out that it wasn't true. It's because the person you lied to wanted to believe you. It's just
Yeah.
that simple. But I'll tell people all the time. You know, I'll give you the rules on how to lie to me. Don't volunteer information. I don't like this. You know, don't start off telling me everywhere you are, how long you're gonna be there, who there, and what drink you just ordered. If that's not what you're gonna do every time, because the moment you don't do it, it's gonna stand out and seem weird to me. But yeah, I give everybody my trust, and I tell you, that you have my trust until you give me a reason not to. But once you've given me that reason not to, it's virtually impossible to get back.
So could you be with a person if you didn't trust them in a relationship?
I think be with is a weird word. Could I?
Stay in a relationship. Yeah. Could you stay in a relationship with someone that you did not trust?
But yeah, to me, like at the point where I stopped trusting them, we were in a relationship only by word, only by book definition. You know, I wasn't with. I was there, but I wasn't with them anymore. You know? I either did like I was in competitive mode. I wanted to win a prize or something like that, but it wasn't. We weren't in a.
I'm not talking about your past. I'm asking you right now currently. If you have a current relationship, you said. You're in a current relationship right now. If she lost your trust, if she broke your trust and you no longer trusted her, would you stay in that relationship? You just
It
said
would
that
take
once a
some.
person loses your trust, it's hard for them to get it back. So what would you even be?
The person that I'm with now has built a level of trust with me that it would. I can't imagine the thing. It's hard for me to answer that question because I can't imagine the thing that would be big enough to just destroy it. It may you could poke some holes every once in a while, and they might get had to get patched up. Um, but yeah, at the level we are, I can't imagine the thing that would just be like, nah, there's no way back. Yeah,
That's fair. Okay. Staying away from the hypotheticals. Okay, well, for me, absolutely not. For me, I don't trust anybody further than I can throw them, and you have to work long and hard to earn my trust. I have been betrayed by my mother, my father, and anybody else that was supposed to love me and do right by me. My ex-husband, people I've dated. Like I don't know. Um, and if I cannot trust you, I cannot imagine being in a relationship with you. How am I going to build with you, grow with you, move with you, depend on you, rely on you, believe in you? Because if I don't trust you, I don't even know who I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? There's no faith there. There's no belief. I can't, build with you and support you. And I just, because for real, if I don't trust you, you probably disgust me. Just the sight of you disgusts me. So that would be a hard no. I don't even have to think about that. If you do something to me, this is why cheating is a deal breaker for me. If I do not trust you anymore, and now you got to wear a body cam like the cops and keep them up and running 24/7 so I can watch it, bro. This too much, and we just need to walk away from it. What's the point? And continuing with this, and there's
no,
no trust.
I get that. I get that.
I don't know. We live in a really
You can work way up the rankings of If it's early on, you tell me you want to borrow some money and I give it to you and you don't pay me back. You lost my trust, so never get it back. But you got some years in, you get a couple of mistakes. What we
Okay,
talking
so
about?
I do have some other questions. I want to save this one for another show because I think you and I were having a conversation on one of our other podcasts because I don't know what order these things are going to play in, but we were talking about you. I brought a thingy from Instagram up because I had sent it to my guy and he wouldn't
Yeah.
answer the questions, right? So you and I got into a beef because, like I said, the penis committee will always agree and stand up for each other in solidarity, even when they did wrong. Solidarity. Yeah, I like the cops, the blue wall of silence, and all that other foolishness. Um, so we were talking about things that are worth the risk, and you have this whole philosophy about why men don't answer certain questions because they could lead to other questions, which then lead to women walking or talking themselves into chaos and anger. So go ahead and share with the people what you were explaining to me about that.
I mean, you explained it pretty well. Like I don't. When we say something like this is a trap, we're not necessarily judging your intention in that moment because I think women have this capability, which is weird to me, of having every intention of doing what it is they say, not getting mad, or there won't be a follow up question. Whatever promises they get and giving you to try to get you to participate in what you know is a setup. Um, I think they have every intention of sticking to that thing, and then they get an answer, and the curiosity, maybe the thousand windows in their minds pop up, and they just got to just let me ask you one thing, and then they don't know where they're going but they're leading them. I I think maybe you have answers to these questions that you want, and you're hoping we're going to give the right answer, but you don't know that we only have so many right answers in us. We're going to eventually fail the test. So if you keep going, we're going to give you a wrong answer, and then that's the one that you lose it over. Where I don't know if you were walking yourself intentionally toward being upset. You thought you were walking yourself into paradise with all these great answers he was giving you until you got the wrong one. But we know that it's coming, and you don't.
Is it fair to say that you could just be assuming based off of other women that you've dealt with in the past, and it's not necessarily fair to assume that this woman that you're with now is going to be on any of that type of time?
No, I think is absolutely fair to assume. It would be like it would be like uh 9 out of the 10 people in your life that shot you wearing Jordans and not expecting you to have some reaction to Jordans when you sing them. Yes, that one of the people that shot you wasn't. Or yes, there's a bunch of these people that wear Jordans that don't shoot people. But if you've been shot by 10 of them or 9 of them, at some point, like you're gonna have a natural association. So I think it's absolutely fair to assume the numbers are not in the same women's favor.
Give me an example of a time, even if you want to do hypothetical or it could be realistic from your past, or your current relationship. I don't care. Um, Give me a time when explain this to me. How did a woman ask you a question and you answered it, and then it just went to hell in a handbasket after that?
See, and this is another one of the hard parts about me and a dude. I don't think we sit and like I don't know catalog these arguments. So I know how I feel. I can't necessarily walk you through. And who could walk back through something insane? Like if they didn't understand the thought process behind it when it happened, like how do you reverse engineer it so you can get it in your mind to do it from start to finish? I don't even think that's possible.
I don't
That's very much
understand
a
how
woman.
you can't if this is something that is now guiding the way that you address and deal with any woman. You say the statistics show, the numbers show, life shows that women will ask you questions with the intent of not getting angry. You can somehow answer in a way, and then they ask more questions and they eventually end up angry, right? Here's my thing. Let's Why is it, especially if you've been in a relationship with somebody, like you guys should have dated long enough before you get into the relationship for you to know her? Why are you even answering the questions wrong in the first place? Why is it that you still don't know your woman yet and know what you should and what you should not say to her?
Once again, because one, you as a woman, and y'all just need to admit this, that list of right answers changes every day, sometimes multiple times during the day. At any moment you can decide that the thing I agreed with last week, I think makes you sound old and grumpy this week. So it's like we have no idea when the rules are going to change. We have no idea what happens in that rule book. We know what we know. There's a few things that we hope we're going to get right, but you can ask any man who's been in a relationship, has he answered a question and thought 100% in his heart he was giving the right answer? And it was the furthest thing from it. We try.
To me, that sounds like a failure on your part, a failure to not have gained an understanding of your woman yet.
It is hard. You can't understand a thing that's constantly changing.
I think we just get a bad rep. I think that we're misunderstood. I don't think that we're actually ever changing. If you got a crazy female, she's crazy all the time. If you got a female who's an overthinker, she's an overthinker all the time. You guys just aren't keeping up. You could learn the language of her crazy. That's not impossible.
Did you hear what you said? This is gonna be the catchphrase of the show. Did you hear what it said? You could learn the language of the crazy.
I mean, if you living in it and you living with it and you loving it and you staying with it, you better. That's just like if you go and get dropped off in the middle of some country where you don't speak the language. If you've lived there long enough, eventually you start figuring it out. What when they point to this, what that word is, you put it together.
Crazy don't have patterns or limits. Crazy is crazy. It is literally chaos. You can't predict chaos.
Okay, so we're going to take a cop out. This, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear this man being so willing to tell us that answering certain questions. It's just he just has built up this radar that tells him when he should or should not do something, when something is a setup, when in fact it probably is just an innocent question and an innocent conversation. Now he has built up this radar for it, but can't explain to us not one iota how this has happened to him before to put him in a situation where he feels he needs to build up this resistance to it or whatever the hell we're talking about.
Can I ask you a question? In hindsight, in any of your relationships, do you ever think you've done this?
Do I think I've ever done what?
Have you ever indirectly walked yourself into an argument? Started an argument you had no intention to start.
This is not about me. That's not what we were doing. When we were talking, it was you. You are the one who thought you could
But
not answer a
you
question.
know that you do this, but unless I can give you an example, it's like now I have no proof.
Exactly,
We
you
both know
don't
it
know.
happened.
That's mad and if I was doing this right now, you would be labeling me crazy for it. I just don't it's just like you got the right to face your accuser when somebody accuses you of murder. If you're going to accuse women of setting you up, something being a trap, then you should be able to explain that trap or explain that setup. If not, I need you to hush the fuck up.
No, if we're using that analogy, if if you know you murdered him and I know you murdered him, but I can't prove it in court, it don't change the fact that you murdered him. You see what I'm saying?
No. No, you should be I have never in my life I've never told someone "Hey, I'm telling you that this is 100% not, you should not be doing this. You should not believe this. You should not go here. You should not do this." Without being able to say, "I've seen this happen before," or "I've been through this before," or "A friend of mine," something. I'm going to give you an example of why I feel so vehemently about this.
I can't get inside the female mind to work. And here's the thing about it. If you asked all men who've ended up there, the first question they ask themselves is how did we get here? We don't know. There's no way I could recall it. In the moment where we end up in the space that things have gone left, I'm already confused as to how we got here. Now you're asking me a year later to be able to recant it for you, or or that means it didn't happen. I don't.
I will say this. I will give an example building back up off of what I talked about in that episode. Because I do believe in what you're saying. I just think that you're putting on a very piss poor performance and trying to get people, to convince me. And so, but I do know that we do this as women. I will go ahead and take ownership of this. We absolutely inadvertently do this. There might be some women who do it intentionally, but I think a lot of us fall into this system where we'll send a dude something like I sent to my guy. And even though I don't think that one was a setup at all, like the answers weren't there was nothing negative in the choices. However, you could send something, a little meme, a little gift, little whatever we call it. I don't care. I need to say something like, "Tell us the three traits that you like in a girl." And it could be like I put on there. And what you do is you answer three things that are not her. You looking at a list of 8 choices and she's 5 of them, and you say that the qualities you prefer in a woman are the three things that she and you both of y'all know she is not. You're picking a fight, you being petty, or you just incredibly stupid if you think that that is the way to point her in the direction of where you want her to go. Communication is key. That is not the kind of communication we're talking about. So she asks you this question. You answer with those three things. She's gonna get in her feelings. Oh, so I'm 5'4". You said you like girls are taller than 5, 6, and I am high yellow as they come, and you say you like chocolate women, and my hair is long, and you say you like a girl with a shortcut. What the fuck are you doing with me, bro? What we doing? You know what I'm saying? And then now we're angry. Now we feel betrayed. We feel bamboozled and hoodwinked because we don't understand why we're with someone who just sat up here and choose everything that we are not. You trying to break up with me? Is this deliberate? Are you trying to start a fight so we can like have makeup sex? Like, what are we doing? It's an agitation. So yes, it can happen. Or we're asking you, what's your favorite TV show? Or what's your favorite genre of movies? And you say documentaries. And for whatever reason, that's the dumbest thing we've ever heard. And that turns into like, what of all the things you could choose, documentaries is it? So we do. I don't think that it's intentional. I think that sometimes we wholeheartedly think we're asking a very rational question, and you guys just give the dumbest answer on the face of the planet. And you're welcome, by the way.
For
Explaining how a woman can walk herself into an argument or into an attitude because you couldn't do it yourself.
no, I can't explain how the crazy mind works. I can't.
Dudes do it too. I just want you to know that. Dudes do it too.
Can you give us an example of
Oh,
one of
ain't
these
that
times?
a bitch? Can I give an example? I just gave you an example of
I'm
what
just
you were
saying,
talking about.
can you meet your own standard? No? Okay.
You can't even meet your own. I just walked
It
you
wasn't
into the
my
truth.
standard.
Okay,
It
let me
wasn't
see
my
how I do.
standard.
Okay, cool. So You go into a store, your dude don't want to go in there with you, but he's sitting out in the car and he can see you in the store. Dude rapping with you in the store, maybe 5 minutes. You come out, you done bought your shoes or whatever. You come back in the car and he's like, hey, so what was old boy talking to you about? Oh, he was telling me the different price between the shoes, telling me what kind of size they had back there. Okay, well, he was smiling the whole time. Oh yeah, he was flirting. That's just that normal thing. I'm not paying no attention to it. What? What you mean he was flirting? And you just stood there and you talked to him? You just let him a kiki and ha ha in your face? Dude, nobody else was in the store working. I needed the shoes. I gotta go to whatever this thing is tonight, sneaker ball or whatever it is. And it just goes on. But that's what we doing now? That's what you doing? You smiling in niggas' faces when they flirting with you? Boom. What you say?
How is that the same thing?
Because if you wa-
That is not a
if you weren't
person.
gonna get up out the car and go into the store to make your presence known, so dude wouldn't keep behind, then you don't get to sit up here and question me about why I didn't walk out of a store to get these shoes that I need because I gotta be at the sneaker ball in an hour. Don't ask me no questions. When you sat there and watched it, it clearly bothered you. You could have came in and deaded it immediately if you thought something was up, and now you want to get robbed with me in the car instead of the dude that you really mad at. What you mean?
It's gonna be yeah. What I don't see how those are the same issue. We talking about somebody
He
unintentionally
walked himself
walking
into
themselves.
anger. He talked himself into anger by
He
asking
was
the question.
angry when he saw her. He was angry when he saw her in the store. He was angry when she got. He was asking questions. He wasn't asking questions assuming he was avoiding anger. He was trying to get to a place. So yeah, that is completely different thing.
Oh my God. He can do the same. He can do the same thing with asking her about her day. You were gone with your girl, or let her go on a girls trip. And then as soon as she get home, want to bombard her with every question about what she did every second of the day that she was gone. And then getting mad when she says, oh, we went skinny dipping or we went to a new beach.
I'm not sure you explained anything earlier because I don't think we understand the concept. Son.
Oh my God. That might be true. Because again, I harken back to the fact that you just like to say things with no proof, no real context. And then when somebody tries to help you out, you have the audacity in the very penis committee minded way that you have of telling me what I do and do not understand or what I do grasp. I'm sorry, but if you can't even back up your claims, you have zero grounds to say that to me. Thank you.
It's amazing how I said it though. But uh,
Lord have mercy. Mm-mm.
here's the question for me because I want to see if if you'll accept this. I think I gave you a demonstration earlier today about how this idea that somehow not answering your question is a power play, a person saying no just because they could say no. And I think when I was explaining this scenario to you with the walking yourself into a minefield and the person, saying no, I'm not going to answer this question because I know where it's going to go. I explained to you, earlier how that I lost my train of thought.
You were explaining to me how not answering a question isn't a power play.
Yes, it isn't a power play because that is a person saying, "I'm so scared of what your possible reaction to this could be that I'm going to accept this anger over that." So it's the complete opposite of a power play. So being that though I've now definitively explained how it's not a power play, are you willing to accept that you was wrong in that?
Oh, well, first of all, I was never wrong. Okay.
There we
I was never
exactly.
wrong. Hold up. Why? See, why you got to be so petty? Why did this have to become all of a sudden something about right and wrong? It's about perception. My perception is that when
It's
you
your
tell somebody no, just because you can, and then you go and make up something in your head about it being a setup, or you go and make up something in your head about whatever your reasoning is, and it hasn't happened. When somebody says, "Okay, did I do that to you?" and it hasn't happened, no, but I've been through this 1,000 times before, here, there, and everywhere. So now I have built up this thing to where I just want to avoid it at all costs. It's not fair to the new person that you're talking to or that you're dealing with because they haven't done this to you. If they did do it to you, then that's what you should be leading with. This is a setup because last time I asked a question like this is exactly what happened. Blah, blah, blah.
that wouldn't change anything. Because again, being faced with the knowledge that you was wrong, you was just like, I don't see why. And then you completely shift. It took me a minute to get back to what you had started. Like I had to How did we get here? How did we get there? You started out with, with the deflection. I don't know why you had to bring up that because what I was trying to say, and then you just went
Who, me?
just completely. Yes,
Wh- I'm the only person who's answering questions tonight. You've been throwing out just ridiculous accusations and then talking about, but I can't remember why I think that. I can't remember why I said that. See, women always have to be able to explain ourselves. But when we throw out what you call wild accusations, but when it's on y'all, oh, it's perfectly fine because you just want to label us crazy. Come on, you
we
got to
can
come
give you an
correct, sir.
explanation. We can give you an explanation, and then you just dismiss it. Y'all are the queen of just saying because I don't want to. I'm not. That's the power play. That is the power play. The way women can just say, you can say something that ain't true. That's bullshit, and then that's you haven't proved anything. Like that's that's the burden over there, and then we just take it, and that's the ultimate power play. They can just say, "No, that ain't real," because I said it isn't, and keep talking, and that means that conversation over.
Again, more wild accusations with no proof. No
I
proof.
just gave a lot of proof. A lot of proof.
I can't with you. Well, we answered every question that I wrote down. I still feel I don't know if you're intentionally trying to make it seem like men and women are so different. I thought the part of this conversation or the point of this podcast was try to bridge the gap. And I feel like you are digging holes so deep that I want to throw you in one and cover you back up. Like
I,
bold face bury you alive because you I just it's I just I never thought that you would be so petty as to actually blame your excuse for everything is that women are crazy. No proof, no rationale, just oh you guys are crazy and you do this and we just got to take it. Y'all are always the victim coming from you. Do you realize that or does that just escape you?
and does that escape me? You don't see how I'm being attacked now. I see. I feel like I'm a victim in this very moment.
Sir, you attacked us this whole show, so I have every right to come back at you. And this is not an attack. I can attack if you'd
Yeah,
like me to
we,
attack.
we know what this is. You can go. You can gaslight me if you want, but we know what this is.
Oh God. Okay, well, people, I don't really know if you learned anything in this episode today. I have no words. Do you want to say anything?
No, I think I've said.
Yes. Now on that, hallelujah, something that you said that is accurate this evening,
There
and
we.
I can agree with. This was insightful though. I think that you and I agree on a lot of things because I think our morals line up though. I think that maybe it's because of the age group we're in. Like I was born at the end of 1980, you were born at the end of 1981. I think we probably had similar upbringing, like, even though we're from two totally different worlds. Because St. Louis is definitely not DC, and vice versa. I think there's just some traditional things that we hold, still in high regard, which our perception is really dying off fast because it's loose and fast, wild and reckless at for most people at this time. But I do like having these conversations with you because even though we're going to have disagreements on some things, at the things that matter the most to me, um that I want to press up on people that it is okay to still, believe in tradition, to be accepting of gender roles, to support each other, to love each other, to believe in marriage, to, be exclusive and committed. Like, I just don't want to join the plethora of people who are like, be the nastiest, most trifling asshole that you possibly can. Screw everything that you see. YOLO. Like, this is why out of all of the people that we have in our group of podcasters that we hang out with regularly, I thought you and I would be able to pull off a podcast with as little friction as possible. Keeping in mind that you and I disagree on a lot. It's just that I
Yes,
think fundamentally
real.
the foundation of who we are as people is more similar to anybody else.
I would agree, and that's why I agreed to do the show.
Are you just
We'll
bless
see
me
where
with
it
your
goes.
presence? Is that what you just said?
I am giving you credit for the idea. This was your idea. This was something that you spearheaded, and I'm lucky to be the person that was chosen
Oh,
to go along for the ride.
okay. Yeah. And on that note, because you're gonna have people out here actually believing that you over here getting picked on and bullied. They just don't know yet, but they're going to learn.
They heard it. We got evidence. It's on record forever.
Yeah, people, thank you so much for listening again to another episode. Oh God. And we will see you or you will hear us next week.
Next week.
Holla.
Holla.